What's up, Irish fans? Augie Villawan here with your NDP Athletics pregame. Tonight, the theme is ski, so I dressed accordingly. I can see just a little bit out of these, so we have the little handheld sheet here to help me out with the stats. But nevertheless, your Notre Dame Prep Fighting Irish take on the Detroit Denby Tars tonight in what is going to be most likely the last home game for NDP football this year, the last home game I'm going to cover, which means I get to go email people. However, Denby comes in with a 6-3 record. Last week, they didn't have a very strong game against Southeastern, beating them 18-16. So by all means, come into this game with not as much steam as the Irish did after they steamrolled Hazel Park last week 59-0. However, something that I saw on the stat sheet that really jumped out at me is this Detroit Denby defense is no joke. Pull the stats up here. Demarion Pruitt, 70 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 10 sacks and an interception. That's a linebacker. Malik Mobley, one of their safeties, 57 tackles. And of course, the one that jumped out the most to me, Kenneth McClinton. He has 22.5 tackles for loss, 21.5 sacks. That puts him at the head of D5, at the head of any division in the state, and 6th in the country. Just some crazy stuff here. And I talked to offensive coordinator Colin Whale, and I asked him, when you see those stats, does that scare you at all? And he said, it's obviously something that we're going to look out for, but we trust our O-line. We know these guys are solid and as sturdy as they come, and we know that if it comes down to it, they can win a one-on-one with this kid. But without further ado, we'll get into my keys to the game. My first key of the game is going to be the most obvious one. I just talked about it. You need to shut down McClinton. If you can get good blocks on him and prevent him from getting any quarterback pressures, from what I heard, they're going to have Jack Williams on him for as much of the game as they can. If Jack Williams can go and shut McClinton down, the Irish, and especially Sam Stowe, are going to have more than enough time to go and just pick apart the defense, make good reads, and just, per usual, throw that nice deep ball to Roa or Sink. My second key of the game is going to be involving Roa and Sink. You need to get the offensive firepower going, especially the air raid offense. Would you look at Irish touchdowns in the last couple of games, more than 75% of them have come on takeoff routes with Roa or Sink in press coverage. I asked Coach William about that too. I said, you see a lot of matchups where your guys are getting pressed. And he said, listen, if they come out in man coverage and try to go one-on-one with us and throw press coverage on Drake or Brody, we know they can handle that matchup, and we know we can give them a good ball with Sam, despite how windy it is. It's really windy. I moved down to the field because it's so windy up in my area that this flew all the way back to the band room. But if they can get those deep passes accurately and safely to Roa and Sink, we might see another situation where the Irish get all their starters off the field at the start of the second half. And my third key of the game is should really be flexible. Should the air raid not go well, when you look at this defense, they've got a kid with 4 interceptions. They've got a kid with 5 interceptions. And their secondary is nothing less of really solid. So if it comes down to it, being comfortable, leaning into that run a little bit. The Irish are a very balanced offense. 143 rushing yards per game on average and 210 passing yards per game on average, as well as 40.1 points per game. So if the Irish can just lean into that balanced offense, be flexible with whatever comes, another great matchup for the Irish, and they will take on next week, most likely, Frankenmuth, which is going to be a rematch of last year's state championship. But this isn't the only event happening in the state right now. North Oakland Eagles, part of the combined hockey team that your Irish are a part of, are taking on Bishop Foley in a scrimmage today. So if I can, I'll get some updates for you guys and keep everybody posted, as well as on the other side of the state, Grand Rapids Catholic Central and Grand Rapids West Catholic, the 2 and 3 team, going at it tonight. And realistically, whoever wins this game is most likely going all the way to the state championship, barring some big upset. One that I could see coming at the hands of Kalamazoo United. This is a team that's been strong throughout. They've been up there in the rankings on not just Goose Poop, not just D-Zone, but anywhere you can look for MHSA football state rankings. So this bracket, after today, is going to come down to a couple juggernauts and maybe a few dark horses that are just going to be going neck and neck for the state championship at Ford Field. With all that being said, we're going to get coverage started at about 7, maybe later, Detroit Denby still hasn't showed up yet. They were running late last game, so we will be flexible with that. But at about 7, we'll go live, get you the anthem, get you the pregame, and get you guys set up for what should be a great night of football on a chilly November afternoon. From NDP Athletics Broadcasting, I'm Augie Villawan. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have more at 7.